How's it going, everyone out there in the interwebs world? I did a little bit of work on this morning with a scraper just to get some ridges out, little ridges that I knew I was just going to make more ridges if I tried to do it with the bowl gouger. So I just used a scraper. It's developed a couple of cracks overnight. You get that. I put 3 rings in the bottom for something different. I did that with a ring tool. I kind of just cut in a little bit on each of them, so they go back a little bit, but nothing too major. Something different. I could have used a skew or parting tool, but I thought I'd try that out. Something different. I don't know exactly how much of this is going to get kept up the top here because it's falling apart. I mean, it's not falling apart, but when it gets turned over, it's I don't think it's going to have 4 points, right? It's just, anyway, it's got a couple of big chunky cracks that go right across. So they kind of come out that side too. So if that top half doesn't survive, then whatever. It's not going to work there, but how you going?
Oh, doing fine. How you doing, sir?
Howdy.
Howdy.
Wow.
You caught one?
And how you going, Dark?
Bob, how you doing?
Good. Been an interesting day.
Yeah? A good one?
Just tired of sitting in the same place because I've been online now probably about 10 hours today.
Yep. What time was Robbo's live on for you?
Same time, I was there.
No, what time was it where you were, though? I mean, sorry.
What? It was like about 5?
Yeah, around 5, 6 o'clock.
Okay.
Well, it's just 9:20 now.
Yeah.
Plus
Okay.
minus a minute.
Yeah. I did a little bit of scraping on this morning because I had a couple of ridges on there from tools that I didn't, I couldn't get out because I was just putting more ridges in there. So I scraped it and I got rid of them all, and I got my my ring tool and made a couple of just circles, but they do actually go in a little bit on one side. Not enough to be concerned about or affected in any way. Just because it's a ring tool, so that's kind of the way it goes. Now I could have used other tools, but I just wanted to see what it was going to be like. How you going, Steve?
Yeah, the Sarge just texted me and said he might be in a little later.
Yeah. He's on the list anyway. He said that too. It developed a couple of cracks overnight. Only a couple though.
Yeah, well.
I just popped up the chat. Hey, Dark, how you doing, buddy? Steve, how you doing? Oh, sorry, Best Australia. How you going, mate?
Nah, go back in the toilet and keep practicing. No, you're all right. Just thought I'd give you a bit for
Dave, all right?
Yeah, Cade, that's what his big program was today, about turning the wig stands for cancer when patients. Yep. That was good, and then we sat and talked for about an hour afterwards.
That was on about 2:30 in the morning here, I think.
Yeah, it could have been. I watched it. I got an invite from him, so I must say, as far as a teacher goes, he's meticulous. To people who have turned for quite a while, they probably, watch, but not necessarily pay attention, because the stuff that a longtime turner takes for granted and does it anyway, all the safety tips and that, he goes through every single one of them as they come up, which is good, because he got a lot of very, very positive remarks from the people that was watching him. He had a 50-50 audience between US and European. So the ones from the European, I recognize probably 80% of them, because they're all AWDG members. So,
Who is it? Hey, Bob, who is this?
oh, for his wig stand, our
Who?
Canadian friend, Cage.
Cade.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Cade. His mother is a cancer survivor, and he turned her a stand some time ago, and he introduced them, and she was the one that ran the Zoom meeting for him and took care of directing it, letting people in, and passing questions along. And afterwards, just he and I were talking about his background, and because my family is from within a few miles of where his family is. And we've had a lot of stuff that I remembered as a kid, that because when I was a kid, that's when his parents were kids there. So it's interesting to see how things have changed and haven't changed over the years.
So, Dark, you don't have an internet connection in your shop, or you have to explain why you can't do it live?
His phone line doesn't reach outside. It's got a cord on it, you know. His phone's not mobile.
I was going to say, if you've got a smartphone, you can use that.
Yeah, that's all right.
You may chew up your data a little bit, but
And phones, StreamYard doesn't run that well with phones.
yeah, it's not great. That one night when I was driving back, it did okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, don't forget, StreamYard is cloud-based, where the others aren't. So everybody connects to their server, and their server compiles and puts everybody together.
Yep.
So that's the big difference, because it's low overhead.
Oh, come on, Dark. Just get 200 feet of cord and run it from your router, and then run it out to your shop. You'll be fine. Maybe he'll like that. Maybe not. You know, Dark, stranger things have happened. I'm sure people have done it. You know, it's not that bad. There's Robbo Robertson, the Magnificent.
I don't know about that.
I don't know. That was a good life.
Thank you. Except I stuffed it in one of the measurements, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah. Yeah, I popped on just after getting uh, when went to the Nutcracker for my daughter, and
Oh, yeah.
my other daughter and I we were sitting having lunch, and I was watching it.
Well, thank you, Dark. You want the classic pose, do you? Jeez, the dog didn't like that.
No, I think Tammy just got home.
And g'day, Steve.
Keep that up, Robo. You're going to have a collector's card series.
Good afternoon, Jay.
Hello.
So, gentlemen, I'm going to go ahead and cut this short, but thanks for letting me pop in. I'm going to hang with Tammy since I haven't seen her all day. So,
All right. Thanks for coming in, Blair. Take it easy.
bye, guys.
See you later,
Yeah.
Blair.
So what's going on?
Not a lot. I've been farting around trying to work things out. So I can get
Is
rid
that
of
where
the
this
bloody
breeze is
lag.
coming from?
Yeah.
You've been farting around.
Yeah. How true.
Geez, we've got red labels today.
I noticed moved up in the world. So I really enjoyed your live today, Robo.
Thank you.
I'm gonna
I
have
wish
to.
I could get rid of the lag out. I
Are
wish I
you
could get rid of the
wireless
lag
in your
out of it,
shop?
Bob.
Are you
No,
wireless to your
no,
shop? Hardwired.
no. I run a cable, but
Oh.
I don't know what it's doing. And I'm drinking a cup of tea. Dark. The only thing I do drink. Yeah, I'll go and stand in the naughty corner, Dark.
One of my
Jay
favorite
warned Jay warned me not to watch it because I'd be thoroughly annoyed with the amount of lag and everything in it, and it's starting to annoy me because, well, everything I do, I try to do it to perfection, and this is annoying the crap out of me. That's right, Dark. You never blame yourself anymore. You always blame somebody else. That's why I like wood turning, because everything that is done is operator error. You can't blame somebody else for it.
Well, you can always blame Mother Nature.
That doesn't work either. Thank you, Dark. And thank you, Stephen. I try to do things that not many other people do. Like most people tend to turn bowls or goblets or something, and oh well. I'll try to do something different.
Why don't you turn a brake drum?
Hey?
Turn a brake drum.
No, every beginner turner turns a brake drum or a dog bowl.
Robo, do you do bull coring or have a bull coring rig?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
That would be an interesting one for you to do. To me, the best bull coring is done south of the border, the equator. I have one made there in Australia.
Yeah, I've got the woodcut one from New Zealand. Yeah, I can imagine. Where'd you mount the sentence for that, Dark? Ah, yes, many years ago, I used to turn brake drums, believe it, machine them out, and the discs, or what they call rotors these days. Used to have to machine them all in a past life. No, Dark, I really don't want to know. Well, a bloke that was in the live this morning, Di Sensei Neil Wright, has made a pen from a dog turd because somebody requested it.
Oh.
No, they thought they'd give him a challenge that he couldn't do, so he proved them wrong. G'day, Jamison. Jamison's in the chat. No, it was all cast in resin and various other things, but I'll tell you what, it presented a real challenge, believe it or not. We just hope that the bloke doesn't have the habit of chewing the ends of his pens.
Someone else is coming in. When they get here.
You all right, Joe?
You what?
Are you all right? You sound a bit breathy, as if you were having an asthma attack or something.
Hello?
I
got
can
my
see
mask.
you.
I got my mask on. How you going, Jim?
Oh, I see. All right. G'day, Justin. How are you?
Yeah, g'day guys. Good, thanks. Just out in the shed having some fun, making some stuff. So, I'll probably have the mic on mute most of the time.
Okay.
So what you going to make tonight?
Be Jay or me?
You, I know what Jay's making.
Oh, I'm still working on these lazy Susans, mate.
Uh,
It's been a month or so. I've got about half a dozen to make, so it's keeping me busy. That's what I was saying in Robbo's live just before, that doing the same thing over and over and over again, it's I don't know, I find it hard to maintain my motivation.
That's when it stops being a hobby.
Yeah. I never did any computer work for the same reason. Everyone used to say, oh, you should fix computers for a living. I'm like, no, I do things like that because I enjoy doing them, not because I want to, do things I don't want to actually do. This is all right. It's just a few of them. It's not like I'm turning out 100 of them.
Yeah, I've got 3 right now. I've got all the gear for them. I'm just turning the pieces.
Yep.
No,
I
what
think,
I want to do. But I got 2 of them are 3-tier. And it's so
Nice.
it's 3 different pieces, 3 platters that I've had to turn different, getting smaller as you go up. And then the center pieces that are wood that plugs into them and holds them in place.
Mm-hmm.
I've made them before, but I have to really get some very high-powered magnets, because that's what I embed in the bottom of the bowl or the platter and the top of the piece of metal for the spindle itself. I did that
Yeah.
the first time and I had some trouble. This time when I'm doing them, I've reversed it, so I put the magnet in the post, because they want to clean and wipe everything else off when they put their tray away or the layer away. And they sit it down and all of a sudden silverware goes boing. So I got a request to reverse the magnets, because that way they can take the ones that are in the post and put them away in their basket that they have, because they do cake shows.
Yep.
And then they want to show the stuff off, even though there's not any real cake in them. I found that kind of upset me. I thought my sister's done and we're packing up, and I thought I'd snitch a cupcake and found it was plaster of Paris. But I couldn't tell them because she made a whole couple dozen at home and decorated.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was fun, and I've done that, and I've got 2 now that I'm in the midst of making. But the bottom layer sits on it's like a mortise and tenon joint, where just make it big enough for a turntable that'll rotate the whole thing.
Yep.
But that's what I have been up to. It's only because my sister does this as a nice income, but a hobby to show her work off.
Nice.
But for the holiday period, since the bakeries, they're not closed, but you have to order what you want baked, and then they will box them up for you, and you can call for them at the door. But you can't come in the shop type stuff. So it's worked out quite well. So as a display of what she can do, this is going in the window of her daughter's bake shop.
Okay. That's cool. I love doing practical things. I love doing things that you can actually do something with it,
Yeah.
Yeah, but I just find with these Lazy Susans, it's just scraping. You stick your parting tool in there, you get your depth down. You might use the gouge to hog out some of the main stuff, but then you're just in there with the scraper, just scraping it down to get it flat. It's just all flat work. It's not terribly exciting for me.
No,
So,
I think it's like she tells me, it's a labor of love.
yeah, that's it. I'm just looking forward to seeing people's faces when I give them these for Christmas. And learning to do them is kind of fun
I
too.
haven't,
Sorry, Robbo.
just going in on the other ones where they're having trouble heating up their shed. I have no trouble heating this one. Just switch me over for a second, Jay. This might be a bit awkward. Wait on, I'll just move the tripod around a bit.
You sure got enough to start a
That's
fire
what
by
you-
accident in there.
Yeah, that's what we use to heat the workshop up. It's a big industrial gas heater. And then I've got a diesel one as well that I run occasionally when it gets really cold.
I heat mine with one that would be its baby son. I run it on a propane tank about half that size, and that keeps my shop warm.
No, it can get down. Well, it doesn't get as cold as some of you blokes get, I must admit. But I don't function well under about 18 degrees. I'm afraid I really feel the cold, and occasionally in winter here, as Jupp will tell you, it can get down to the low figures, 8-9 degrees during the day with a wind chill factor of about, it brings it down to about 4. So it can get a little bit cool. Too cool for me.
Yeah, those of us who actually work for a living warm up pretty quickly.
Well, this is right. If you pedal a bike, if you pedal a bike around all bloody day, I'm sure you get hot.
Although having said that, I went and bought one of those rechargeable battery powered jackets recently for working in the shed.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, I'm afraid I can't. When the steel sticks to your hands when you pick up the tools, it's a bit cool.
Yeah. What gets me is it rusts. You get the moisture that way. So you bring the heat on, stuff starts to rust. So being winter here, it's spray the stuff down and keep it well lubricated so I don't get rust on them. Because I just can't pull the
We
humidity
haven't.
when we got snow. Sitting on the roof of the garage and you tromp through it to the garage shop. And then when it starts staying cold, once it's cold, really cold, there's not a problem. It gets down so the snow's every day and it doesn't melt. Then we don't have the problem in my shop. Just the heater just warms it up.
I've got a friend that's got a shed the same size as mine, and he's actually got ducted air conditioning and heating through it.
Okay. So would you say it's more to do with the condensation from heating up and cooling down all the time? That's the problem.
Yes. Tin sheds are notorious for condensation.
Yeah. Yeah, I find that in here a lot. Although having said that, I've got that much bloody sawdust kicking around because I don't really clean up after myself. It tends to suck all the moisture out of the air pretty quickly.
Yeah, but if I did that, I got to keep it clean. Otherwise, I find I have mice.
Yeah.
They like to make their nest out of it.
We've got the chickens next door to the shed, so the mice, yeah, they love it there. Didn't leave me alone.
You charring that or something, are you, Justin?
I learnt a lesson from Neil about hot glue, heat guns, and scrapers.
Yeah. Just make sure there's no metho around.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't get the joke.
Right.
I'll let you
Neil
tell
that
the
was
story,
on
mate.
this morning Neil that was on this morning is a friend of mine. And he's always in a rip-roaring hurry, and he does a lot of silly things sometimes. But anyway, he glued some stuff up with hot melt glue, and he'd been using metho to try and release it, and it didn't release. So he's got about 2 litres of metho spilled all over his lathe, down into the sawdust, into the cupboards, everywhere else. And then he thought, right, I'll get a heat gun. He got the heat gun and ignited the metho and burnt his workshop down.
Oh,
And himself.
live on, live on
burnt
camera.
No. Burnt himself really badly on the legs too, so. So it's a bit of a running joke that make sure there's no metho around when you've got a heat gun.
Yeah, we laugh about it now. We can tease him a little bit, but at the time, it's a bit sad.
Yeah. But he's the only bugger I know that makes money out of an insurance claim, you know?
That's called fraud, at least here in the States.
Well, it's better than being underinsured.
Oh, no. He burnt another workshop down as well about 10, 12 years ago, I suppose. And no, he didn't defraud anybody. It's just that everything was replacement value, and of course, replacement value now, the price of things has gone up so much. But the insurance assessor came out and said even the roof was damaged, and they'd pay to have the place re-roofed. So it must be a good insurance company, I reckon.
Yeah. I know what I've got, and I've been doing this since I had a theft about 25 years ago. I have made sure that all my manuals for all my tools that I buy, power tools, are kept in a special box in my house in case the garage burns to the ground, the shop in it. I also have photographed everything complete. There's single pictures, including pictures of accessories. Because the last time I had the theft years ago, they questioned about 80%. Did you own this? When and where? And I had in every photograph, there was a calendar that showed the date, the picture. And I just spent a solid day once a year rephotographing or photographing anything that I've had new. I've never had to need it, thank God, knock on wood. But I've got the proof that I own it. I got the receipts away where they can't be burnt unless the house goes down too. And the photographs are on a hard drive. They're on a online drive, and my brother has a copy of them and everything. So, I don't like paying
Smart way to do
insurance.
it.
If there's a problem, I want to make sure I can say this, and this was lost, and here's the receipts and the value.
Yeah. It's the smart thing to do. Otherwise, you end up in a whole world of pain. When you actually need it.
For quite a while. And it came in handy because when I did it, I always write the serial number down because that's it, old military training. That's your rifle, son, memorize the serial number. That's your grenade launcher, memorize the serial number. Because if you don't, and I had a guy in the dorm who had come back from a mission in Nam, and he and someone else had got their M16s mixed up. They look alike, it
Yeah.
happens, but the it wasn't his. So they took it away from him during an inspection. And lo and behold, he had to pay for a new one because he had lost one. But if it ever would have shown up, supposedly, he would have got the money back. Well, in reality, they later on gave it back because it did show up because someone else had it and they were in the same skirmish. So the argument was, yeah, that's, well, they were doing cleanup, which is body bagging your colleagues and stuff and help loading them, in and out of choppers and stuff. They
Love military
you just
terminology.
put everything up against a tree, all the guns against a tree, and they all look alike. That's when we started marking them. Get a file from the motor pool and put a notch in the barrel so you
Yeah.
could look at it and say, that's mine. It has one or two and a space and one. So I think the more garbage they have on their shoulders and stripes, they have to find something to do.
They've got to justify their existence.
Yeah.
Just tell you what, that's how bad about New York.
What's going on over there at the moment?
Oh, the COVID.
Oh, yes. Yeah, you're counting deaths in the thousands
Dark
at the
asked,
moment.
yeah, Dark asked Steve how New York was recovering from the COVID. Steve replied, lousy, we're setting new records around here. And I heard that New York will not recover from this and that too many people are moving out.
Yeah. I don't know. It may not be what it was, but it'll turn into something different, something new, I reckon.
I think Australia's the same. Like,
Yeah.
I think it's woken a lot of people up here about various other options to things. Like, I know my brother worked in an office with 120 other people, and they've been trying for about 5 or 6 years, because they all work on computers, that they could all do the work at home, and this forced them to work at home, and the company suddenly realised that they don't need this big bloody office block, so they're selling it.
Yep.
Yeah, good night,
Yep.
Dark.
Are we streaming on YouTube as well as Facebook?
Dark's
Or
off.
just Facebook?
Thanks for coming in, Doc. See you later. Yeah, on both of them,
Okay.
Justin.
Yeah, but even little things like who we export to, who we're importing from.
That's for you, Dark.
Let's bring up the chat.
Well, I'll tell you, the way the VA is taking care of us vets is pretty good. You're doing more and more online medicine, which is nice.
Yeah, well, the whole medical fraternity out here is all. In fact, their program has been moved forward 10 years because of COVID, where they're doing more online uh, visitations or appointments with clients instead of having to go to their doctor's surgery. They ring you up and you get on the computer. Like my doctor's been looking after me. My heart specialist's been looking after me that now for last 4 months like that.
You have a portable EKG that plugs into your internet. You can track you.
No. He just asked me a series of questions and just make sure I'm taking all my medications and crap.
You got a, they call it military pharmacy is what you had most of the time for your doctor. And got one that calls me at least once a week. And they started putting out stuff for me. I have a Fitbit watch, which checks the oxygen level in my bed, in my blood 24/7. It tells that I have been having enough exercise. It even
You
tells
break,
heart rate and my temperature.
you're breaking up pretty badly, Bob. Actually,
Oh, that's
well, that's the problem, Jamie. That you know, last 3 years in the Marine Corps, I was in charge of the tool room and all the tools in my squadron. They had to be etched and everything else with the squadron number, the shop, tool storage, and its location. Aircraft mechanics are the biggest thieves around.
I bet he's spewing he's not on the mic to reply to that really quickly.
Yeah, I agree with you, Steve. They're much better than sitting in a bloody doctor's waiting room for 2 hours while they fiddle around. They just ring you up.
Well, yeah, when I go in for my blood pressure and stuff like that, that's the same deal. They ring you up first, yeah, get everything out of the way over the phone, and then just pop around when you're ready, quickly duck in, get your blood pressure taken, go home again.
Yep.
oh, they shipped me a blood pressure machine, a big thermometer. It's
Yep.
really small. It fits in a little case. It's battery powered with a charger, and I put the cuff on every day and hit the button, and it does it. And it's tied with Bluetooth to the software program that they gave me, so
Nice.
it goes in, and it's
My
cheaper
wife's
than having a doctor and me sitting waiting in line for someone to do it.
my wife's the same. She's got a heart. She's got a pacemaker that gets monitored over the internet, and it's rather funny. She went away a couple of years ago. And I got a frantic phone call. We've had no readings from your wife's thing. I said, yeah, well, it's probably a bit hard at the moment. And they said, oh, why? Is anything wrong? I said, well, she's 5,000 kilometres away in Europe having a holiday. Oh, that explains why we're not getting any readings then.
Yeah. Well, mine's all tied to uh, through my telephone, and it's an SMS signal message, so it automatically calls and does a data dump. And the app tells me what I haven't done yet, like redo my blood sugar because it's suspicious that it might be off. But I've been a diabetic forever, type 2, but since Vietnam. And I know I got a misreading, so I'll wait 10 minutes and do it again. It's not the waiting of the time. It's just I screwed up somehow. but
Yeah.
got to do
Jamie,
it
I
all
quite
by hand.
Jamie, I can relate to that. Like, I had a mechanical repair business and I always made sure that all the tools and everything were out of engine compartments and things like that. It's amazing what people leave behind. Yes, it does. Definitely destroys aircraft. Leave something in the wrong place and it falls down the wrong place. Getting a few cracks there, are we, Jay?
This was the overnight voyage that the Wood took.
Yep.
It wouldn't be a J project if it didn't have a half a litre of super glue in it, would it?
There's no glue in this
Ah.
one. Oh,
Yeah.
Yes, there is. I saw you put it in.
where? Super glue your mouth.
No, sorry, I might have been confused with your sexy looking buddy toothbrush there.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, don't tell Amber. Eh?
No,
What's her
I
toothbrush?
didn't tell her this morning when I saw her.
Yeah, I'm generally not in the fashion of buying pink toothbrushes, Justin.
Hey, I don't judge.
Righty, Vegemite.
Vegemite.
Yep.
No, Steve, I think it'd be even worse if you were the one that checked it out and left it in there.
Yeah.
Been more strife than Ned Kelly. Oh no, the colour makes a big difference, Steve. You ask anybody that buys a car, red ones always go faster.
Yeah, they do. They go heaps faster. And grey ones with a coloured fleck through them are invisible to everyone.
The worst
I'll
thing
find the
is
worst.
on red cars here in the States, they get traffic tickets more than any other color.
That's just bias.
Yeah, that
No,
wouldn't surprise me.
Well, I mean, we all know that white Camrys are only purchased by blind people.
No, it's one of those crazy statistics. Some college student did a 3-year study of about 8 different states. Red cars got more speeding tickets than any other color. Maybe it catches the eye of the enforcement officer.
Well, there was a colour released a few years ago by Renault.
Hello.
That was called Sage Grey, and it was actually a greeny colour. How the hell they call it Sage Grey, I don't know. But they were involved in more accidents on country roads than anything else at intersections because they perfectly blended with the trees on the side of the road.
Oh, that I could understand.
ugly looking
Mental,
colour, but that's beside the point.
mental note to self: remove glass bottle from lathe before you turn it on.
That's always a good idea.
Turning's learning.
But if you can't remember to do that, get a bottle holder that you would use in a car, the type that would you can hang on the side of the door in the
Yep.
window,
Yep.
and then you can hang it over the side of the bedway.
You're trying to make it blend into the background, are you, Steve? Bring the outdoors inside.
No, I don't think it's profiling. It's they just say that red cars are get more tickets than people when they look at the officer that gives the ticket. It's not. It seems to be the same proportion uh, statistically for both men and women enforcement officers.
The same officer every time.
No, it's been he did this his doctorate on he did his thesis on it, and it was like a 5-year period in 9 different states, going over their records. And the question is why does it catch the eye quicker? Well, we know that red in marketing is something that draws the eye to it. That's why you have a lot of soda people that bottles that are reds have reds in them. Breakfast foods boxes, stuff like that. If there's reds, that's what draws people to it subconsciously.
I don't think it's got anything to do with the kind of joker that buys red cars.
Maybe you just notice the red car. The brain notices it more, and that's going fast. But now that they use speed guns to verify your speed, that is pretty.
Something a bit different.
Yeah.
And now this top half's going to turn out. That's why I didn't bother polishing it.
Yeah, you might lose the top inch off the bowl.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. Right, I'll put you guys back on the screen so I can disappear into the corner somewhere.
I'm just waiting for my glue gun to start heating up.
Yeah, Steve, I agree. That's what the statistics tended to prove exactly. Red is more catchier. We see it more often. The brain reacts to seeing it. That's why traffic lights are red for stop, because the brain catches the red color easier.
Yeah, barcode reading and tools, RFID chips and stuff like that really do make life easier these days.
Yeah. Even the stuff that I got from the hospital, the VA, they all have equipment built in so that they scan them. I had a problem. I took one in, they scanned it and handed me another one and scanned the other one, and it was immediately registered to me. No
Yep.
more looking up serial numbers or anything.
Well, if they have a reader by the exit door, you can even tell if the item's been removed from the premises.
Yep. A simple tune tank circuit on a card. The first access control cards were that by Schlage Electronics. had a big antenna wrapped around inside the thick card with a custom, not custom, but a crystal rectifier, a little diode, and then a dedicated capacitor and resistor. And when you walk through the door energized the card, turned it on because of the magnetic field around the door, and it oscillated the crystal that it picked up, and then it knew who you were because it was unique to you. That was the first type of card that was card access control. Schlage Electronics claimed they bought it or invented it, but in reality, it was a college undergrad's thesis.
No, nobody steals technology anymore, do they? Surely.
No, they gave him the scholarship to school, and anything that he did while in school was theirs. College students ought to read the fine print if they get a scholarship, just like me when I was working for the University of Michigan, running a microcomputer development lab. Everything that come out of that lab, the university owned.
Moral of
Even
the story,
with the
don't do anything
students.
great until you finish school.
Well, DARPA came in as the Defense Department technology group at the time. They came in and they kept 80% of what we had developed and used it for the military. Because I've run research labs most of my life.
Yep.
Jay, just take that loose chip off before you start turning it.
Oh, I was going to take odds on how soon it would take before it goes off.
Generally very long. It
Teaching a
generally
good
doesn't
lesson in
go
the
where you
video.
want it to go either.
No.
But it only happens once. Then you remember to clean it and clear the stuff. Someone's got to get that young man a bandsaw.
Oh. I'd love a bandsaw.
I'm getting there, Dr. Bob. I've got one waiting for me. I've just got to come up with the funds for it. It's a second-hand one, but it's still in good nick.
How big?
It's not huge. Well, it would sit on my bench.
Oh, bench top saw. Okay. No, Steve, my background isn't in physics. That part of my background is done because I learned to be a ham radio operator at a young age and loved electronics. Actually, it's in consumer psychology. How do you get people to buy something they don't want to buy? How do you monitor people, and how do you create a better educational environment? I've had a lot of things to study, but yet being an inventor, with my background all my life, I have come up with quite a few things that I've got patents on and got taken away.
That must be frustrating.
Yes, very.
You at least get
I
to put
could
your
have
name on
used
it.
that system actually, Jamie, for
Sorry, Robert.
I could have used that system, Jamie, for when I had employees, because they never tell you when they broke something or wore out.
Have hey, Jeff, have you seen the movie The Poseidon Adventure?
Probably many moons ago now.
The ship that flipped upside down on New Year's Eve?
Yes, yes, yes.
Uh, while I was in university, we were studying how and what helped people learn. And I got asked by Mark Snow, who was one of the professors that was on loan or doing some very special work at the university I was at, a research project using the students, if I would be and sit in and help him on some of my theories in education. And there's about five of us that he hired for 5 months because he had this weird ideas, and we tried and tried, and most of them worked. How do you design a classroom? How do you paint it? Certain colors force your brain to turn away because they're too busy, too tiring. And that's the colors that you want on the walls that you don't want the students staring at because there's something interesting there to distract them. That's why your
Yep.
chalkboards, the color of the chalkboard, when they started making them other than slate black, they did colors like green and grays because green is a comfortable color to look at, but the wall around it is a bright, vivid color, and the brain says, I don't want to look at that. So using color theory that way and coming up with a bunch of work, because that was one thing that he worked on. Mark did his thesis for his doctorate is how paint affects education and educational classrooms. And I got thinking, along with a couple of friends of mine, that music can do the same thing. And it goes back to when I was doing, as a kid, in, I don't know, 10 years old, 12 years old, I was using Morse code to talk to friends down the street that also learned it. And I was tapping out the Morse code in rhythm to a song I'd be listening to or music of the day I'd be listening to because the brain just did that. My pace was set by what I was listening to subconsciously, but it was the clicks that the brain was sticking to, not the words of the song. So I found that interesting later on in life in college. So we decided, and I had Mark thinking about something we could do to make the Poseidon adventure make you sit on the edge of your seat. And it was a theory that he and I, over some good smoke, come up with this theory that we could pull this off. And he had a colleague of his that he went to school with in film in California approach him to do a soundtrack test for the Poseidon adventure. And what it does, and it only works for Western culture, as far as Western, well, I'll explain what it does and you'll catch the other, is the fact that our brain right now functions differently for us when it comes to music, as it would your Aboriginal, as it would a person born and raised in India or Pakistan, because of the music that we have and are used to listening to. The music that we are used to listening to is its origins go all the way back through Britain and back, from there. And it's been tampered with by some of the Irish and Welsh and that in Europe, but it's still basically 4/4 music in the sense that it can be 3/4, whatever, halftime, 2/4, but the first beat is called the downbeat. And if you're a musician, you know what the downbeat is. You would sit and count music out to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. The first beat is emphasized. It could be a little louder, could be a little longer in how it's done, but that's what the human heart is based on. You could sit and listen to a waltz and take your pulse, and you're going to find your pulse is going to go back to the music you're listening to, but only in Western music, not country Western, but the English, Irish, all the way around and filtered down there to Australia. But that style of music, and it's what our brains are wired with. And why and how, I have no idea. Mark didn't want to know because he's not a medicine person. And there were some people who assigned the further research to it later.
I'd be inclined to believe that it goes the other way, that we like that music because our heartbeats are that way.
But the Chinese, their heartbeat beats the same, and it's totally different. If you go
True
to
enough.
Southern Africa, it's totally different. You go other places in the world, China, it's totally different rhythm.
Yeah.
And
I'm just saying
their
that
heart
maybe what
beats the
inspired
same
us
beats.
is what inspires them. Yeah.
So what we did, and we played a very dirty trick, and we did a piece of music. We worked with the orchestra, the person who wrote the music, and the orchestra that cut the soundtrack, and they were doing some testing of music for the movie with an experimental audience. You know, you come in, you get paid $5 to sit and watch a 20-minute piece of music, or you get a coupon to go get something at a store, and you watch it with a movie, and it's a sneak peek of the movie, supposedly. And it helps to get the rumors around about movies in Hollywood. So we had one of these theaters, and it got really interested, and Mark Snow was able to get the person that wrote the music for the Poseidon Adventure to modify it. Now, you remember the ballroom and all the dialogue and everything that went on before the ship flipped upside down?
Yep.
Well, that's all 4/4 music. They were dancing to 4/4. The orchestra played standard 4/4, standard beat 4/4 music, everything. Now, the moment the ship was going over, the band was still playing, and because the place was flooding. And what else you going to do? Some ran, whatever, but you still had the 4/4. Well, when it flipped over and the tree fell, they still played the music, but there was no downbeat. It was 4/4, but there was no beat to put it right there, because it was things like violins and wind instruments, and there was nothing that carried a beat. Everything was melodic at that point. It was 4/4 music, but no downbeat. And until they cut the bottom of the ship open and you saw the survivor stick his head out and stand on top of the hull of the ship, that's when the downbeat came back to the music. Now, what that did is it put the audience on the edge of their seats, and they couldn't figure out why. You just didn't know what was going on, and the sound engineers had a hard time doing it. It took time after it was proven that it would work. It took an extra, I think it was 2.5 weeks of just taking all the mix together and take out the downbeat. But then they recorded each instrument and everything, so they were able to do that. And they did a trial showing in 3 or 4 theaters, and they asked which ones, and they watched people from behind the screen. Because you can see through a movie screen, because they got holes in it. That's how the sound comes out in the center channel through the screen. And we did that as students. We'd sit back there with earmuffs on so we weren't blasted out by the sound. You could feel it, but people would be in their seat, on the edge of their seat. They were jittery, and someone would poke someone in the side, like, "Did you see that?" You know, people do that, and they'd actually jump and move. It would totally blew them away. So they did cuts like that. Well, they found it worked real well, and they made 3 or 4 different prints that went out in circulation to see how well it worked in the industry. Well, the word got out that what we were doing, because some disc jockey in California figured it out and through a friend of his who was part of the sound mixing crew. So now some rock musicians were releasing music. The problem was they played it on the radio, and people were having accidents due to road rage, listening to the rock music without a downbeat. And there were accidents went up, particularly for that were playing that type of music during the rush hour, just so they could get better airplay. So our government figured out what it was after a while, and it was banned for radio broadcast, for road broadcast. You could buy the album, buy the records, whatever you wanted, but it wasn't to be broadcast by radio. And then the fad kind of wore out because people caught on to what it was. And then they joke about it because the news media made a big thing out of it. But the body does react to something it hears. And we proved it.
Yeah, no, it's even in video, much of what you hear affects what you're seeing and how you feel about what you're seeing to a very great degree.
Yep, that's like the Harry Potter stuff. There was, when it came out, they used it on the first movie and continuously, but it was only for the DVD home releases. That way they could make you jump in your seat by being startled. Because the body's used to 4/4, and if something happens on the downbeat and there's no downbeat your brain synchronizing with, it's a real surprise. The brain doesn't expect to hear it because it got used to it not being there. You know, the downbeat. So, yeah, it's been used in movies. It's been used in a lot of things, but that was an interesting 18 months of my life. It got me into another whole industry.
Well, music has always been used to set the mood in movies and films anyway.
Oh, yes. Well, that's what they had before talkies.
And as Jamie said, music and everything, like, yeah, everybody starts on the left foot at the first downbeat of when the band strikes up.
Yep.
Well, if you've got a good major in front of you anyway, a good drum major.
But we don't give a lot of credit to music and that type of the technical side of music. But that was an interesting research project
Well, here you are.
I got involved in.
Now, when I used to come home from work and my ex-wife was pregnant with my first child, our daughter, the first thing I did was, most places start off, Jamie, left foot forward. And, but I used to come home and I would sit and put on the record or the cassette player, the 1812 Overture. And that was 15 minutes of solitude to calm down from working and to get to being a homebody again. My daughter's favourite tune in orchestral music is the 1812 Overture. and that was because it was played probably every night for the time that my ex-wife was pregnant. Doesn't like much other classical music, but the 1812 Overture is her favourite. I think that's rather uncanny.
I've heard
No,
of
I
that.
never had an 8-track. Never had that. Never had an 8-track, Jamie. But like me, she loves opera too. So I can't have done a bad job with her, I suppose.
Got a birthday person.
Ah, happy birthday, Joy. 21 again.
Happy birthday, Joy.
Yes, definitely happy birthday. You can join and have a birthday party for you. An online birthday party.
Now, Jay, that might not be quite right. A test tube baby.
What was that?
She might be a test tube baby. Yes, Joy, I know that feeling well. You know, watching you there, Justin, is the reason that I reckon all lades should be fitted with remote switches.
Yes, I agree. Something down here would be good instead of having to reach around
Yeah.
the work like this to get to it.
Put one in.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I could just hit the switch here on the wall to break it.
That's too far away.
Um,
You need something on a magnet that you can have
Yeah.
close to you. Or if you want to be techie, you simply put a remote relay in, wireless, and you have it, around your wrist.
Yep. Have a, like
Or
a
you
yak-
just buy a lathe. Just buy a lathe that's got the on-off switch on the other end.
maybe the next one.
But that's $100.
Hang on, mate.
Hello,
Hey,
how's it
hi.
going? Hi, everybody.
G'day, Cade. Look, Jamie,
How are you?
if I can work it out, it's dead easy to work out fair income.
Yeah, it's probably the most user-friendly one, Jameson, if anything.
Oh yeah, and it's so easy to customize. And there's a ton of
Yeah.
YouTube people that'll show you how to customize it and add whistles and bells at no cost.
Exactly.
Add graphics.
What's
All the
going on,
little
Kate?
tricks and stuff.
Not much, just hanging out, watching TV, relaxing. It's been a busy day.
I thought it was a very, very successful program you put on. I was very impressed.
Thanks a lot. Thanks. That's great. I've been getting lots of feedback through emails and messages, and I'm glad to hear it went very well.
You make a very good teacher. And
Thank
you didn't yell at anybody at all. No
No,
frustration. You-
That's all right.
So what do you do, Cade?
I'm a full-time wood turner.
Okay.
Yeah. And I also do teaching, instructing, demonstrating, a bit of production here and there. Have my
Yeah.
work in gift shops, some galleries around my area.
Nice.
He's also
Thanks.
a reptile specialist.
Yeah, my other job is breeding reptiles. I
I'm
have
glad you said
snakes.
a reptile. That's
I
not what
have
I heard first.
pythons. Sorry?
But I'm glad you said a reptile. That's not what I heard the first time you said it.
Oh, okay. No, I have snakes. I have 7 snakes, boas and pythons.
Yep.
Yeah. They're cute, cuddly.
I don't know. You can have them. Yours are local and you've made them pets if you can ever make a reptile pet.
Yeah, I've made them.
The ones
pet.
I knew in Nam, they weren't friendly.
No, I handle them quite a bit, so they're not. They know me. They know my scent, my heat, so they're not agitated. Unless it's feeding time and they smell the rats or the baby chickens, then they're on edge and they might bite you.
Yeah. One thing that surprised me in Southeast Asia was the cobra, and they had king cobras in Cambodia. And as you know, they get long. You
Oh
know,
yeah.
they're known to be 25, 30 feet and they mate for life. So if you see one poking its head up through the bamboo, you have to keep,
Too.
you freeze and you find the other one because the other is going to be pretty soon popping its head up to see where they're mating. So you know where not to be. And they know they can't eat you, so they won't attack you unless they think they're in danger. But that's still scary for poor little white boy from Michigan.
I bet I'd be pretty intimidated too if I saw like a
I've got to admit, I
15,
don't like
20,
any
30
animal
foot
that
snake.
doesn't have a facial expression.
Pardon?
I said, I've got to admit, I'm not really fond of any animal if I can't see a facial expression.
Oh, okay.
So even birds, bugs, I'm a real fan.
Yeah, I'm not big on birds or bugs.
Yep,
But
yep.
I'm okay on reptiles and furry, fuzzy friends.
Well,
Cats.
I had a cockatoo one. That was fun.
Copies can get aggressive too.
I bet. I've never had birds. I
You
wasn't
get them
allowed.
housebroken. They'd stand on the top of its cage, you know, and own the living room of the house. And when I'd go to work on campus, go teaching, I'd let him out, open the door, and when I'd come home, he'd be standing on top of his cage, yelling at the cat.
What wood are you working with today, Jay?
Sorry, what was that?
What wood are you working with today?
Desert ash.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Still a bit wet too. Can you see the chat there, Kate?
Let me. I'll just check it out. Yeah. Oh, thanks. Thanks, Steve. Hi, Steve. Oh, this is the chat from your YouTube. That's cool. Hi,
Yeah.
everybody.
And pops up.
That's pretty cool. Okay, every time I back out of this, I get kicked out of the mood. The thing here. I'll try this. Oh no, thanks.
Move your rest in a little bit, Jay. Angle it around. G'day, John C. How are you?
Hello, John C.
How you going, John?
Well, John's
This
an
is
important
Jameson
person.
Cade. I'm not sure.
You know he's important because he's got a room in every house named after him.
Yeah, but I heard all those rooms are crap.
What you do in them that matters.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Hey, Robbo, it must be killing you to watch me butcher skews the way I am at the moment, eh?
Was that Sid?
No, it's a
John.
Jup.
Oh, okay. Hello.
G'day.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, likewise.
I don't think I want to watch, Jup.
That looks pretty cool. Looks segmented. Possibly.
I got some. We've got a local shop here called Bunnings, a big hardware chain, probably like Harbor Freight, I think, in America.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I wanted to make some lazy Susans for Christmas presents for the family. So I went down there, and you can buy big long boards. There we go. Buy big boards basically from them. Yeah, over.
How you going, John?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Good.
I've just been chopping
I'm
those
with
up, and yeah, just chopping those up into squares, rounding them over, rebaiting the bearings so that when they're together, it's actually hidden by an overlap on the two bits of wood.
Oh, nice. That's
Yeah,
cool. That's pretty
yeah.
handy.
So just instead of having like the bit of wood, then the bearing, and then a bit of wood, I'm trying to make it so that they overhang each other, so that it all just disappears.
Cool.
But this is about my fifth one. I've got one more to do after this, and then I'll be finished, and I'll be glad to see the back of them, to be honest. I can get back to turning bowls again.
So was that an order then you had to get done?
No,
or just
I just
Christmas
kind of
Day?
decided to do it. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah. I just decided, I'll give it a go, and have some fun, learn something new because I've never made one before.
Yeah, for sure. That's all it's
And
about.
sorry, guys, one sec.
Got interrupted by the missus.
Good afternoon, Sharon.
Hello.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Hi, Sam. Come in. Come here. Come in.
Come in. Papa's got a video up there. Have a look.
Look up here. You're on the internet.
You're famous.
All over the world.
You need to put him on speaker. Put yourself on
He's
speaker. So we
natural.
can hear
Yeah, also.
Cute.
No, we haven't. I haven't got speakers set up out here, mate. Otherwise, I would.
How's the weather out west? Chilly? You got a bit of snow out there, John?
No, it's actually warming up. It's going to +7 tomorrow.
Oh,
And,
nice. Balmy.
Yeah. Well, I'm heading up to Fort St. I'm out of town all next week, so I won't be able to talk to anybody at all. Heading to Fort St. John, so I'll be up there all working all week.
Nice little trek.
So I got to get as much done tomorrow. Like I had to work today too, so I got to get as much done today and tomorrow, so I can take off for a whole week.
What do you do, John?
Commercial signs. We design them, build them, install them, service them, maintain them.
But
Big job.
Yeah,
That'd take you all
electronic
around the country, wouldn't it?
Ones up.
Well, where I'm located in Grand Prairie, Alberta, we basically cover from White Court to White Horse.
That's where I was born, Grand Prairie, Alberta. Funny enough.
I'm glad you left.
I know, me too. Middle of nowhere.
White
Well-
Horse is the only place that the constable kept me overnight because I couldn't walk straight. But that was before either one of you were born.
Nah. No, I've been here.
Before me,
1959, 1960.
Yeah, it was quite a while ago.
Yeah, I'm an old fart.
Yeah, I've been here for 12 years now.
How do you like it?
It's too windy. It's too damn windy up here.
Mhm. That's true.
Are they using wind?
John,
for
are they electronic signs, are they?
Wind turbines?
Yeah.
Not in Grand Prairie. There's I know in the last 4 years, I think they set up probably 63 of them down by Dawson Creek, up on the mountain ridge between Dawson
Yeah.
Creek and Tumbler Ridge, and I know they got them running like 24 hours, but apparently it costs more energy to build one and install it than it will create energy to supplement the cost of actually building one, right? Because they're only good for about 10 years before everything starts breaking down on them.
Oh, that's crappy. They build a whole bunch
Yeah.
out here in Ontario, but everyone's complaining about them too.
Well, they kill the birds, they disrupt all the wildlife, all the bees and everything else. And then there's a huge solar plant. I'm trying to remember where that is. There's a huge solar plant as well that they're building out here, and apparently that's not going to make as much energy to supplement the cost of building it either. So down in Lethbridge area,
Oh,
down southern
You
Alberta,
just can't
right?
beat Niagara Falls.
yeah,
Until it runs out of water, right? So
yeah.
Yeah, we won't be around then.
well, I remember I was down there 2 years ago with my son, visiting it, and I remember back when I was there in the 80s. No, I think it was 80. Yeah, 87. And between 87 and 2018, that the crest of the falls has come back a whole kilometer.
Yep. It keeps
Yeah.
eating itself away.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly.
You can't fight attrition.
No, exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah, I remember someone, and it's been a long time ago. We were at Welland Locks because I have relatives that used to work at the locks. And back when you could actually go down in and look through the port windows to the ships going through the locks before
Yep.
the glass broke and they couldn't fix it. That dates me. But
Well,
then we had, we'd hit Niagara Falls all the time. It was just part of the heritage because my family's all from Brantford, so I
oh
was
yeah.
brought up that way.
Well, last time I was down there, we stopped at the canals as well, and there was two ships passing in the canals, and they built this new overpass walkway with a tower on that you can actually go and watch the ships come up. That like you can watch the water levels raise and lower, and then the two ships would pass through, and then it raise up again and go through the next level. It was pretty cool. We were there for probably a good hour and a half watching just watching the ship move. There you go, from one spot to another, and then raise up, and the other one lower down. It's fascinating, but the kids are all like, "Oh, can we go? We're bored." I'm like, "No way, this is exciting. I'm
We
watching this."
on the Murray River area, there's locks. There's only a few of them working now, but we took two canoes through the lock just so as we could, and the lock keeper is obliged to open and close the lock for you.
I was just reading Steve's comment in the
There's
chat.
two
He
little
says,
canoes that are
I just saw that too, so give me a chuckle. That's great.
yeah.
"Go on."
Strange part about the worst,
Yeah.
the worst about that if it comes too strong, they've got to brake them, put a brake on them to stop them from working because otherwise they'll just blow off their pivots.
Yeah. What? I know with the wind turbines, like you can buy personal ones for your own yard and stuff. There's a guy just outside of town here in the county. He bought two of them, installed them, and they were creating so much power and putting power back onto the grid that he basically has free power for the next 25 years. And Alta Gas, Atco Electric went out and told him, said, shut them down because you're putting too much power onto the grid.
Huh.
And I'm like, well, isn't that the whole purpose of living off the grid, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but they told him that they're not, that he's putting too much power on the grid that he has to shut him down.
Because they're losing too much money allowing him to do it.
Yeah.
Crazy.
No, they sell it. No, they sell the power he puts on it.
Well, yeah, but the problem is
They don't have to buy it. They get it free from him.
well, yeah,
Yeah.
but they can't regulate they can't jack up the rates because they're getting so much free power put onto it, right?
Yeah.
And he knows it, and everybody in town knows it too. And then there was a whole it all went through the courts and everything else. They're like, well, you didn't get permits for him to begin with. He goes, it's my personal land. Oh, but you need a permit to use wind power. The wind's free. Well, no, you didn't buy the air rights for it. He's like, whatever.
I think I remember stuff like that hit the news years ago, or something similar to it, where supposedly you had to buy it. So the person settled. He went and put a donation. He was a stout Catholic, and he gave the priest a donation for the money for the wind that he was taking to run his windmill. And no one wanted to argue with the the local bishop, because they called the bishop into court, and he said, "Well, of course, we have it, and we're using it, and we're feeding people, and we're doing this." So he's doing a great thing with God's air.
Yeah, exactly.
So it become more of a comic farce, you know. But, oh, here in Michigan, I know of quite a few people that have summer houses, and they have in their collective around a lake, they'll have a wind turbine to supply power because it's just too expensive to get power back to where they're at. So it was cheaper to put their own wind source in. And it charges batteries, and there's fishing during the winter, ice fishing and that. So the power is being used, except that when there's not a big crowd of people around, they just rotate one out of the wind source. But otherwise, getting the electricity in would have been way too expensive for them.
Oh yeah, exactly.
But don't you technically only have the right to a certain elevation above your own property anyway?
You have no right above your property unless you buy your air rights, and that only gives you 6. I believe it's 6 miles above your property.
Yeah, because you've got aviation issues and whatnot, flying drones and all that jazz.
And the only thing with the air rights is that it allows developers not like build beside you, not to build above that, like up to that area.
Yep.
Like to disrupt your view.
Yeah, well, that's fair too. I mean, that's your property value then, isn't it? Especially if you've got a nice view.
Yeah.
Just looking at what Jay's up to.
Busy
He's
making a
smoothing out the inside of the ball.
Oh, so Bob and Juve, and Jay too. I saw this turner the other day, and he was using a hollow ring tool.
Yeah.
And
Right.
he basically hollowed out his entire bowl and then basically sanded with the same ring. And it was like so smooth, like he didn't even have to sand afterwards. Do you guys use those hollow rings?
I've got
I've
one,
used
and
them.
yeah,
Go
I've
ahead.
used it. I've got it. There's a trick to it, but yeah, it's just if I'm trying to do something that's long and narrow, I like it. I like it more than the hook tool that does about
yeah.
the same thing because it's only part of it. And the best one is made right there, just a little south of Cade, of course.
Yep.
You know, by a company that makes stuff for locks and big water movement and stuff. But they also make a wood lathe. One Way has a great ring tool.
Yeah. They have.
And you can buy just the ring tool and the sharpening kit, which is dirt cheap, and make your own handle. You just have to drill and tap to match the screws on it.
Yeah.
So that's what I did.
I have both. I use both. I'm sort of opposite. I prefer the hook tool, but they can be pretty intimidating if they're used incorrectly. But if you use them properly and correctly, you get a beautiful finish on end grain hollowing. You almost don't even really need to stand. It's
Oh,
that
that's,
easy.
I got an
that's
adapter.
a captive.
Bar
That's
system,
a captive ring tool, Jay.
and I use it on the end of a. Well, if I use my big bar on an 1.25 inches, I have actually done hollowing that's been 28 inches deep using it.
What's the biggest? What's the deepest vessel you guys have built, like turned?
Deepest? Probably 3 feet.
Yeah, about my specialty, I designed a deep hollowing system for Carter Industries or Carter Products here years and years ago. They didn't know how to market it. And their Turner that was in resident left it. So I got asked again if I'd like to renew this stuff, but everything that I invented and did it at the time has now been reverted back to me for ownership.
Oh, look at that! You're an inventor. Your story got published. Everybody wants your autograph. Like you're world renowned.
Well, you carry something I'm very proud of in your wallet that I was part of inventing.
I don't use condoms, so.
Oh, the Romans had those. No, the original bag stripe bank card.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was
like
an airplane ticket for Northwest Orient Airlines in the West Coast and Pan Am in the East Coast.
Well, what have you not done, Bob?
Been successful with women. I've been known to 3 days late on a date. That doesn't go over if you're 3 days late for a date. I can get so involved in what I do, time just doesn't seem to work for me.
Yeah. Did you have a good reason though? Or did you have a really bad excuse?
No, I told her what I was doing, and she thought that was great and all, and then changed her home phone number.
Even worse.
Ghost.
Ghosted before cell phones.
Right?
She was a research librarian at the university. And I, it's like you bite the hand that feeds you, because if I needed something looked up, she could go and look stuff up in patent office records and stuff like that, because they had them all on microfilm.
See you, Jamie. Jamie's taking off, guys.
Take care, Jamie.
Thanks for coming in, Jamie. Take it easy.
I've been a research scientist all my life.
I remember going down.
Lucky enough to have the right people around me that been able to work on it and take projects on, and companies buy stuff and license it. And I got bit quite often.
Yeah.
Because I didn't understand the law and the patents. Oh, I'm registered as the inventor, but I'm not the owner. A little difference. Though I believed the person that I was doing it all for. And I found he just screwed me royally.
Well, yeah, because
The joke has been I could never be constipated because I've had that end reamed too often by people.
Have you ever thought about going into comedy and just tell your stories just the way they are right now?
What most of the greats do, mate. They've all got good stories, and they just go out there and share them with everyone.
Yeah,
it's hilarious.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, never thought of it. Inventing things, and this stuff to me just seemed common sense, every bit of it.
Do you ever think to yourself, why hasn't anybody invented this yet?
Yes, because it's so stupid. Why haven't they? Like the Meg Stripe card. Pan Am Airlines and Northwest wanted something that looked high tech, and they were getting into good passenger traffic, and they were dressing to the teeth. Women that changed uniform 3 times to 4 times during a flight, in first class. And they wanted something above the other airlines to distinguish themselves, and they were transcontinental and international flights. So you could go to where they stopped for fuel, like in Denver, from Detroit to Denver, and it was a fuel stop. But otherwise, they were foreign countries flights, and they wanted something different. And they had just bought an IBM computer that ran on punch cards, and they said, "Can we use this punch card as a ticket? We've been trying, but the punch card people say it's going to cost us this outrageous price to put one at every ticket area. And to be able to see if it's your ticket, we're going to have a punch card reader at every ticket stand to let you on the plane, and that's too expensive. How can you get around that? And to me, they said, can you figure a way? And I looked at it, and at the time I was playing music on my reel-to-reel recorder because cassettes and stuff hadn't been invented yet, at least to where they were commonplace for release. Radio stations had carts, but you didn't have anything at home yet. And I'm working on that, on listening to music while I was in my lab on campus. And I got looking at that and I said, well, what if I cut some tape off and I glued it to the edge of the 66 punch card? That's what they called it, a punch card. And I glued it on there and I saw it go through the machine. The capstan pulled it through. And it happened to have just a bit of music, and we used 1 7/8, which is the slowest speed you can have tape at. And I was able to get some words out of it. And I said, now we just got to figure out how we can put information in there instead of words. And I proposed it to the Pan Am people who were going to fund the grant for the university on it. And they forked over the money, and I had 5 undergrad students work on it. And we did it with tones because touch tone phones were just the thing. So we used tones from touch tone phone, and we were able to use standard off the shelf chips that would decode a touch tone. And that's all we needed. And we just had to have a constant speed for the card to go through. We weren't reading the holes, because if we did, that was like $8,000 for the machine that would read the holes. So we just put that on the side of the card, and we presented it to them as a project. They took it to Burroughs Computers, because that's what they were putting in, is Burroughs Computers, which was a Michigan company, and worked with the Burroughs people to build it and just take that piece of a punch card reader. It was a replacement part, mind you, and repackage it and put it in the stands in Detroit, New York, Denver, Seattle, London, England, and Tokyo, and Hawaii. That's the only places that had it. So now when you went first class, you got the ticket of the future. It was simple. It took about 8 months from sitting there playing with it and giving it to some students. This is what I'm doing. Can you figure out how to make it work from here?
Hey, go, Mark.
So
Hello, Mark. Well, it's always the simple things that are the hardest to figure out, though.
Maybe I'm simple.
Good evening, Mark.
The other good thing is that, quite often technology starts in the military and then it finds its way into your first class purchases, your high-end purchases. And then over time, it trickles down into your commonplace.
Yep.
It gets used everywhere.
That's like retina scan. That was put in when I was working for the Y2K about a year or two before, because I worked at that time I was working for Uncle Sam because I was grabbed from the university to work there. And took 2 years.
CIA.
My best friend.
Step into the van, please.
But the retina scan for active, and then lo and behold, James Bond came out with it where you could put a glass eye in, or what was it? A lens that mimicked the person's eye. So all of a sudden, everybody had invested tons of money all over the White House, the office, the Pentagon on retinal scan. And the movie comes out later, and people at one of the agencies said, well, is this for real? They tried it and they were looking for something else real quick. But technology keeps
Well, it's
changing.
the same as when the it's the same as when the Brits built the Nautilus atomic submarine. A friend of mine was a nuclear engineer on that. They actually locked them in the base. They built a whole town to build the Nautilus, and so top secret that nobody was allowed in or out for nearly 12 months. They had to live on the base. They moved their families and everything in. And when they finally got it and did its sea trials and everything, when it was released, trying to think of the toy maker in America that made plastic
Mattel
plastic
made
toys. No, not Mattel, the other one. Anyway, they released a toy that was an exact scale model of the bloody Nautilus submarine. And they wondered how they did it, and they just said, well, it was only logic how it works, so we had to do this, and there was a bit of a court case about it, I believe, but it was thrown out. So, but yeah, well, it's the same as TV, inventing TV. It took 3 people in 3 different locations to make a TV work properly.
And there was 4 or 5 standards
that didn't even know they were doing it.
The standards changed because the U.S. and Britain, we had different scan rates because of different frequency. The U.S. based it on 60 hertz or cycles, the scan rates for early TVs. Britain was on 50, and so was Canada at that time. But because the U.S. was a big maker, Canada actually switched to 50, or switched from 50 to 60.
Yeah, but that's typical of you bloody Yanks. You've always got to be different from the rest of the world.
Well, it didn't have the flicker because at 50, subconsciously, it was giving people headaches, the lights flickering, because their brain would see it flicker. So by upping it to 60, they didn't have that problem.
Wow.
That's right. We're on 60. It's out here too.
Hey guys, I gotta run. I gotta go to another panel. Sorry, I gotta jump over to a scroll saw panel. So I'll take care, guys. I'll talk to y'all later. Thanks, Jay, for having me on.
Thanks for coming. Hey, buddy.
Thanks for coming in, John.
I'll check out your video tomorrow to see how your bowl turned out.
Have a good trip.
See you later,
all right,
John.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, I think maybe tomorrow night when you come up, I'll get out in my shop and get it cleaned up, get the heater on, and do some of the stuff that I need to get done out there. I got Christmas presents still to finish making.
I hear that.
Yeah, we're running out of time too, mate.
Oh, I'll be ready.
I'll tell you what, we've had the craziest day here today. It was sunny there for about half or 3/4 of an hour ago. Now it's raining like hell with wind behind it again.
It's all right, it's about to clear up now, mate.
It's better than snow.
I love the snow.
Yeah.
We had snow in Curramborough about 15 years back, I think. It was great.
Oh, God.
No.
Remind me of when I was in tech school in Denver. Bring back a flashback when you said that. we had a person from Hawaii at Lowry Air Base in Denver studying electronics, because that's the field he picked, and that's where in downtown Denver, not quite downtown, but the military base there, was the big electronics school. And a group of us got together and took him on. We had a 3-day weekend. I forget, whatever holiday weekend. And we took him to see snow, because in Hawaii he had never seen snow other than in pictures.
Yep.
Never in his life.
Throw him in the snow ditch.
Oh, he ran and jumped in it. We took him up Pikes Peak, outside of Denver, and they had snow.
That's great. Oh, did we lose Jay?
I don't think they would be allowed to take the icky, sticky stuff on board somehow, Dark. I doubt that there'd be any alcohol on there either.
Oh,
Puff, puff, pass. Yay, man. That's what Puff the Magic Dragon said.
Be an interesting experience, I suppose, being weightless and high as a kite as well.
one thing I've never experienced is weightlessness.
Not enough joints, maybe.
No, either.
Just too much
No,
mass.
I tell a lie. I have in an aircraft where it just happened to come over the apex from a climb just at the time when it creates a weightless feeling.
Yeah, to me it's odd not have been around snow. I love cross country skiing. I used to do a lot of it. But then again, most of my life has been in the northern states up through Canada and Alaska, when I haven't had to go overseas for some reason.
Don't drink that kite, it'll...
I get you drunk really quick right before you die.
Yeah. A Watco death. Pickled from the inside, or sealed from the inside. The mortician doesn't have
went
to
out with a great finish.
Make a really pretty corpse.
Yeah. Shiny inside. Just putting finish on my massive stuff on my finishing table here. More so the stuff I have to get out this week and then deliver personally next week. Mostly custom stuff.
Yeah, I must admit I like doing custom stuff on the other cut.
Gives you the freedom to give your own expression into the work rather than customer always being right. A little more freedom. I like when they give you a full freedom and they're just blown away with what they get in the end.
Yeah. See, I don't take orders for that reason. I make what I make and I sell if people like it.
Yep, exactly. Make it for yourself, and if people want it,
Yeah,
they'll take it.
Yeah.
Custom work's rewarding too. You can charge a wee bit more for it. Well, a lot more for it.
Well, there's the R&D that goes in it.
Yeah, it's more time consuming because it's one-offs of everything. It's not like a production item where you can prep everything one day, turn everything one day, finish everything one day, and then each individual piece is a fraction of the time it would have took you to make it if you did a one-off, and that's where you make your money. In production type thing. But custom stuff, you pay for that. They pay for the setup fee, they pay for the time work, and they pay for the. It all adds up.
Yeah, but you can get burned out. Even if it's something that you really want to do that's production. You got to keep making, but you have liberty to change stuff. Like when Gulf War I hit, I was working in DC for the government, and a neighbor of mine's son died in the war, and they sent his ashes back in a box, because back then DNA hadn't been discovered yet, or invented, or whatever you want to call it. It was still a hypothesis that they were all different, and so they had to just cremate, because if you blow up in there a Humvee with a bomb from underneath and you've got 4 people in it, you don't have many big pieces. So they would get all the pieces together, cremate it, and then divide it up and send it back to the families. That's the only thing they could do. They had no idea whose finger that was or whose foot that was. So that's the only way it's been done that way in wars. For actually First World War, it was done that way a lot because of bomb victims. So he got everything back in a wooden box, not a fancy one, but a wooden box. And he asked me, because he was a neighbor and he liked to hang out when I was doing some turning, because it fascinated him. And he always borrowed my power tools, portable ones. I didn't mind. He asked me if I'd make an urn for him, so I did. I did it out of a piece of a tree that his son, as a kid, played in. And the tree had been cut down sometime years earlier. And the section where he carved his name and his girlfriend's name, who was now his wife, in the tree, his old man saved that, and it was stood on the corner of their front porch as a remembrance. And it had been there since he went in the military, so he brought it over and asked if I'd do an urn for it. So I turned it off center, so that part of where it was carved was important, was left on the outside by being off center turning, and hollowed it out, figured out what size of bag of rice I needed to be able to have it for its depth, because the volume you use with a bag of rice to determine. And it wasn't made to be something that was ultra fancy, though I made it really look nice for them, because they wanted to take it out of the box, because his mother was so torn up over it all, and he wanted something that was more special. And they were going to bury in the family cemeteries. When they saw the prices of urns, and the Fed wouldn't help pay for that, they would a coffin, but not an urn at that time. It was, can you do an urn for me? And I had never done one, so I turned one. Talked to a friend that ran a mortuary through the Lions Club I belong to, and he told me the trick of being able to size them by bags that he had to buy, but basically it was rice in a bag, so he could determine what size for what size person. And they were all coming in from the West Coast, being turned by hand, and some from overseas, and they were outrageous. And I left it so the carving was on the outside, so it was, a rough edge on one side. And unfortunately, it made the local newspaper, it made a military newspaper, it made a Pentagon paper. And then I kept getting phone calls for making more and more of them. And I did that all through Gulf 1, Gulf 2. And I've started off being a hobby, and then I found that that was the best way I had of fighting post-traumatic stress. And I would always be ahead. And I didn't have to worry about a tight fit because I knew they were going to be sealed. Once they're put together by law, they had to be sealed because somehow people believed that the ashes had all sorts of things in it, like anthrax and everything else that could possibly have been given to people. And they didn't want that in the soil because it would get in the food and the water. Oh, our laws here were so antiquated, it was ridiculous. But that's basically how I got back into turning, other than just a few things for fun now and then, because I found that that was an easy way of getting rid of post-traumatic stress. Put a log and make shavings and use the shavings for fire starter. Put them together, make up a pack the shavings, some wax in a cardboard milk container, the old cardboard gallons, and sell them. So, but I've done quite a few of them. I've lost track. It's well over 1,000 over the years. And now that COVID's hit again, I've got calls now for people that knew what I used to do, wanting them for their kids. So
Yeah.
I've got some logs in the yard that I've got had drying, and now I've got to get more source of wood. So I'd like to get creative, but I have found that just making a box for a fellow vet is, to me, quite relaxing.
Be rewarding too, really, wouldn't it?
It can
Yes,
be very,
and they can be any shape, because unless they're going in a mausoleum, and you're limited because there's some standards to the height in a mausoleum, but your creativity. Like I did one that made newspapers out west, and they wouldn't say who did it because it's always been secret. I don't want people to know who did it for them, because it's all been, laundered through the Veterans of Foreign Wars. They make a request and I get the request to me, and I don't know who the end is. But I did have one that was able to figure out, or somehow I had the oddest request in the world to turn, and it took me 2 tries before I got them right. The soldier was a sergeant major, and he was a firefighter for planes, and he died. So of course they had to cremate because you couldn't have an open coffin for that type of death, and asked if I could make something for him. But it was unique, different, because he had 5 kids. And I got this from a neighbor of him who requested me, who was a VFW, that's Veterans of Foreign Wars, that his goal in his life, as soon as his last kid got out of university, his wife and him had already bought a house, a smaller one instead of the 6-bedroom house that they had, because they had a big family. And they were going to retire to the little house. And the one thing they wanted to move was his rose bushes. because he had nurtured and he liked crossbreeding rose bushes, creeping, sticking one branch on top of another. And they sent me pictures where the bush was half dark roses and half red roses on the same plant, of which you can do that with. It's grafting. It's not a problem, and rose bushes are easy to graft. But he wanted to be planted under his rose bushes. But the kid had a year more of college before the wife could move, and asked if I could do something appropriate. So I don't know what gave me the inspiration, what I might have been drinking or smoking or watching on TV. So I got turning a piece of wood, and people say wood talks to you.
Yeah, does.
And if you start talking back to it, then there's doctors that I can recommend. But it was talking to me, and I got this wild ass, and I just went on and I made a flower pot. It just looked like a terracotta flower pot, the shape of a typical cheap flower pot. Those stuff you buy the stuff in at the store and then put it into a nicer one when you get home. Tapered up, come out, had the wide rim on top. So I made the flower pot. But the bottom half of it was the urn. It was faced. And then the idea was to put potter's foam, styrofoam in the top where the lip is, and then you could stick in phony flowers. So you could use it in the house if you wanted to show flowers. Except the top lip wasn't big enough. It was in proportion, but when you put foam in there to support a long stem artificial flower or something, it wouldn't stand up. It would fall over because I had to have 3-inch foam, I figured out. So I had to make a second one with 3-inch. Because what I did in the bottom half of the pot was the urn. And it had a little bung hole so you could put a mortician could put the ashes in and then seal it back up. And then the bottom half was the urn. Now his wife said he wanted to be planted under his flowers. Well, he was. They were phony flowers until the family was able to move and settle down. And then all they had to do was plant the whole flower pot in the ground and he would be under his flowers. That made the newspaper, but nobody, I'm glad, ever figured out or given any hints on where it came from. But that's the weirdest urn I've ever turned. But it fit the need of the wife and his request that she wanted. And it was a neighbor that arranged it all. So I was totally anonymous.
That's nice.
But there can be creativity in it. There's so many, you go to turn an urn, they're all the same.
Yeah, for sure. And it's so easy to undercut the funeral homes because they're getting them made in China and then bringing them here and jacking the price insanely. So it's very easy to undercut them and still make a good buck.
Get the wood from Thailand, Laos, Cambodia, Burma. A lot of really good wood, cheap in Burma.
Oh, yeah.
And it's all CNC made. And it comes over here and it costs, the funeral director was telling me that his brother run a wholesale house for him. And there was a 7,000% markup on them.
Mm-hmm. That's crazy.
But I wouldn't, and I still won't take any money for it because that's against anything that I internally believe in. I might never met the person, don't even know a name, but I know what it's for. It's for a fallen fellow vet. And that's all I need to know. But I haven't had any to do in the past 4 years, because the government started supplying urns that looked halfway decent. It used to be just a coffin, but then they started putting urns in.
Well, that's a good thing too.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Takes them a while to catch up. Yeah.
They're still made overseas. We can't buy American.
Yeah.
Because you got to buy from the lowest price. That's a government addict.
Catch-22. Not
I've
really.
made a
You've got to
few
buy the lower
custom ones.
price, but you've also, obliged to support the local economy.
Yeah. And sometimes even if the funeral homes like them and your service and the way you make them, they'll even promote them. If people want a custom option, where I mean the imagination is endless on design or customization, I mean they'll recommend the guy who will do something custom for you because they'll see the prices of what the funeral home is charging and they'll expect to pay more. But really, you don't need to because you're still making an honest buck undercutting those funeral homes.
Yeah, I've thought of that. And one thing that got me is another quirk in making urns that is kind of funny.
They're great fun.
One of the things that we have in Michigan and you do in Ontario is that we're too close to sea level.
Yeah, true.
And in
They have to go
doing
in
so,
container.
you have to have a sealed vault to put a coffin in.
Ah, yes.
Because the bacteria can get into the water supply. So it's got to be
Same
a
with
concrete.
cremation urns.
The fiberglass vaults and stuff like that are used, but you got to have them. So it used to be anything, including an urn, even though it's ashes and ashes have no bacteria, it was still considered a burial item. So people, if they wanted them put in the ground, like a lot of religions believe in, they would have to put a concrete box in, pay to have a vault put in, and put the urn in it. It can't decay normally. And so it goes ashes to ashes bit. So there was a problem that, about 15, 20 years ago, that I had to have metal liners here in Michigan for urns. And I was looking at what do I get for a metal liner? And
I remember this. This was great. Keep going.
So what I had is I finally found a company in Las Vegas that made cocktail shakers. And they had the real big ones. It was metal spinning. They did it through metal spinning and all automated. And they would make a cocktail shaker, but they had the ultra sized cocktail shaker where they'd make it for the whole table, whatever it was. And that was big enough in volume to hold my bag of rice. So they sent me one to look at to see. I told them what I needed it for, and these were going in, I think, New Jersey or something. And I made one, and they said, well, we can't use it because it has to have a liner in it, and that threw me for a loop because I normally had no idea where they went. But I found out this metal liner, so I called the company and I talked to the president of the company, and he was talking to me. He says, well, we make them. He says, do you mind if I'll send you some to see if they'll do the job, but they have to be seconds because they silk screen them. And he says, if the colors get misaligned, it might be a dozen or so that runs through the system too fast before we can catch it. And then we have to scrap them and melt them and send them off to the junkyard. But I'll send you a case. So I got 24, and they were big enough. And I made some interesting urns for people out of them, as a liner in the metal urn. Except that the ones they gave me were from strip clubs. So the pictures on the outside was pictures of the ladies, but the color was just slightly off enough that they couldn't sell them. But if you glue them down in it, no one knows. Epoxy it to the urn.
All the men would have been happier than anything to be buried in one of those.
Oh yeah, I brought that up at many a VFW meeting when they, honored me and talked about what I had been doing, and always got free drinks. Never went to a VFW. I got lifetime membership out of it in the Veterans Affairs and Wars, but
So,
it was cocktail
so
shakers.
what you're making, Bob? So what you're making, Bob, is James Bond thing, and not stirred.
Shaken but don't stir, or stir but don't shake. Shaken but not stirred.
No, not stirred.
Not stirred. Yes.
Geez, Mark, if you want some trolls, I can soon. I can soon do that. And to answer your question, Dark, just keep going, keep going.
I gotta catch up on the chat.
Got a bit blue there. For
Yeah, come on.
I can soon.
You reckon,
I
you reckon you're going to be naughty? Well, come on. Bring it.
Bring it.
Bring
you got
it.
a room full of Aussies here, mate. We'll take you apart.
Uh-oh. Is that a challenge?
Yeah, we just laugh at you.
Yeah, and Mark.
So come on, Dark, give us your
I'm
best. I'll even give you a link so you can go on the mic and verbalise it.
You bit yourself bad, Jay.
Pardon?
No, you won't.
Oh, you're good.
Dark won't come on there. What were you cleaning up there, Cade?
Putting some finishing on. Oh, hopefully I'm coming back to the thing here. I hit something different.
Oh, he's frozen. Did you go outside? You're frozen.
No, I think I went to something wrong here.
Yeah, camera's not a happy chappy.
Yeah,
Oh,
camera's
here we go.
completely frozen. Oh, there we go.
I found it.
Oh, no, he found it!
Bookmark. I hit the
Oh, he
wrong
found
bookmark. Oh yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I'm just putting finish on some live hedge bowls, some boxes, some finials, some ornaments, some burrow bowls, some Christmas trees
Yep.
and snowmen, some goblets, a Harry Potter wand.
Well, I think I might have to buy a burl because I can't seem to find any for free.
Oh well, I'll trade you some maple burls for some exotic Aussie wood.
Mm.
Oh,
So,
mate.
I got this right. This piece here. This piece
Probably
here.
weighs a ton, and it would cost a fortune to ship it.
Yeah, $120 to ship that.
Wow.
And then you might have impound warranty.
Yeah, and then I'll have customs and brokerage and
Yeah.
Potential quarantine.
well, they'll probably fume it as it comes
Geez,
across.
Mark,
the
you
road.
sound just. Mark, you sound exactly like Wayne. He had Christmas as well.
I think we've forgotten the meaning of Christmas.
Oh.
Every year on Facebook, I always say happy birthday to the baby Jesus.
Yep.
Thanks, Steve. Yeah, the elder one turned out really nice. Turned out great.
One I did last month. I did Harry Potter and Hermione replica from the movie. So this is the older wand replica from the movie.
I can put you on full screen if you want show and tell.
Yeah, I can maybe take it down, but I can only handle it in one tiny spot because I just.
Oh no! Wait,
Just
point the
about finished
camera
on
up. Point the camera up at it, so you don't touch it. Is that easier?
Yeah, I might have to switch my camera around here. Let me see. Or no, that was turn it off. Oh. Anyways, it's right. Oh, the lighting's kind of shitty. Oh, where the hell? There it is.
Tricky.
You're
Oh yes. Yep, I remember that one. Yes.
Yeah, nice, mate.
Yes, very nice.
A little closer. There.
You got a channel?
Oh, you stabbed me.
Then there's the hieroglyphs. It's turned, carved, stained, textured, and then finished. But what'd you say? Sorry? Do I have a channel?
Yeah, just looking you up now, mate.
Yes.
I don't
Yeah.
have a YouTube channel. Well, I do have a YouTube channel, Cade Bolger Woodturner, but I just don't have any videos on it yet.
Yeah. Just found you on Facebook. Tag you there.
Okay, yep, that's Cade Bolger Woodturner too. That's quite a bit of my work. My Instagram's K Carvings, if anyone's interested in that. That has a lot of my work uploaded on it.
Want me to put a link in for you?
Oh, it's all right. I'll find him when I get on my phone because I've only got Instagram on the phone. I don't use it on the computer itself.
If Kate can figure out how to use his phone, he can do it.
Well, I'm on the StreamYard, so I'm not on the YouTube link, so I can't type directly into the
No.
YouTube, but I can type privately in here, and then you could add it to the chat, possibly. Otherwise, I'll have to sign on with my tablet and type through that
No, you're right.
YouTube chat.
Still good, I'll do it.
So here,
It's all good.
Yeah, I've got a
All right.
YouTube.
Unfortunately, people, I've got to go and do some more work. So I shall catch you a bit later on.
Tomorrow.
All right, thanks for coming in, Robbo. Take it easy.
Take care, Robo.
Yep.
Always take it easy.
I was going
See
to
you
say
later.
anything you can. Yeah, I have to say I've got a YouTube channel, but I haven't put anything up on it in years. I was doing some video for a friend of mine that had a radio show, a national radio show, and he wanted some stuff that he could put up. So I took the theme music and did a collage of the different actors that do old time radio. And it was for a program at a convention. And then I did a bunch of stuff for the tech shop and had probably about 300 of them up. And when Tech Shop went bankrupt, they forced me to take them all down.
Now, if anyone's interested, I've put Cade's Facebook page up.
Oh, okay. Thanks. I just finished typing it. I was just about to send it to you. A little slow
Yeah,
with my thumbs here on my phone.
I'm on the PC, so it's a bit quicker for me.
Oh, sweet. Okay. Thanks.
That's what I want for Christmas, is a laptop, good type of PC. Mine still runs Windows 98.
Wow.
Oh wow. I tried to, when I started this whole online IRDs and demonstrating and stuff, I originally tried it with my fiance's laptop, and it's in the same boat. It's pretty old and it couldn't keep up with anything. So I had to go out and get myself a better laptop with like gaming capabilities to be able to keep up with everything.
You need that for the quality of the video these days.
Yeah, that's true.
And hopefully early next year, I'll get my pension back and I'll be able to afford one. But for the past 4 years, I haven't had any income to do it. It's hard to live on what I get.
Believe it or not, Amazon has better deals than Staples and Future Shop and the electronic.
Oh, yeah, I know that. And as a
Mine.
disabled vet, I get another 7%. But, you know, I try to survive on like $300 a month.
If I'm allowed to ask, how come you don't get the pension?
Well, I had a 401k that I had a big chunk of money in. And then a scoundrel called Bernie Madoff was scamming and breaking some laws, and he happened to be the money behind the credit union that I belonged to. And then I found out later that the insurance that credit unions have by law at that time was not the same as the federal insurance, FDIC we call it here, that insures our banks. And the credit unions was a percentage of what the value of whatever it was within the credit union itself. So if they lost it on you, you were able to get back like 2/5 of the money you put in. And they didn't even have enough money to do that.
That's awful.
Yeah, that's horrible.
Those people that live here would recognize the problem, like General Motors. To keep from going bankrupt, the government had to bail them out because he had underwritten a whole new factory that they were building that was totally automated, robots and all, personally. And he also helped underwrite Disney's Big Red Boat, their first ocean liner. And also his collateral was artwork. And when it came down to, did he really have all this money? And they call it a tranche. That's the banking term. It is a bundle of money you have, and you can move it around between different institutions. And he was an expert at it, and the laws let him to do that, so he could use that as collateral for big loans. Like he underwrote General Motors' totally automated factory. They borrowed the money from him, in essence, to build this big new factory. He stepped up and said, I'll be glad to put my trust stuff up for you, but I get a nice chunk of General Motors stock. The problem is they found that his major collateral was, granted, a lot of artwork, but it was stolen Nazi artwork, of which has to be returned. Even though he had bought it, it wasn't his. The government took it away and returned it to Germany. So all that he had spent buying it was a total loss. So he took it as a loss. And then the credit unions and that went under because there wasn't any collateral money. And I ended up getting about 12% of what I had put in the credit union pension fund.
Wow, the shine on that is crazy.
Yes. Is that an
This
epoxy?
is yeah.
That's amazing, Cade. What did you do that with?
This was tung oil and then a clear coat of epoxy. But this is a big leaf maple burl, and all these voids were hollow. So I went for a drive up to the amethyst mine. I picked up some amethyst, crushed it, and I filled all the bark inclusions with amethyst crushed stone.
That's nice. I like that. Very nice.
So you just pick up all the tilings that they can't use in production anyway.
Yeah.
Nice.
So that's almost done. Needs one more coat on the inside. The outside's perfect now. But the inside needs one more coat for me to be happy, and then it's ready to be delivered to the man who commissioned it.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That place. Very nice.
Nice. So that's what one of our maple burls look like up here in Canada.
I'm gonna go and cry now.
You know,
There's no shortage of them.
every country is jealous of every other country's wood.
I know. I'm jealous of all your colorful exotic woods. That's for sure.
We say the same thing. In England, they've got yew, and over there you've got maple and mahogany, and you're like mahogany. Yes, so what? That's a big thing for us.
It's just it just lies around on the ground over here. You're more than welcome to come and pick some of it up.
All right. My next trip, I'll bring a couple extra suitcases and pack them full of.
Oh, maybe a shipping container.
Yeah, that'd be cheaper than paying the air flight rates.
In the corner
Yes.
here, I've got piles of red gum and jarrah. It's just old fence posts.
Yeah,
Which is ripping
farmers
around.
are throwing it out to rot in
Yeah.
the field, aren't they?
Yeah, that's it. It's beautifully aged. It's full of all the, even the cracks and the voids in it. They're just lovely.
Oh yeah,
So, yeah, oh yeah.
adds character. Adds character, the artistic flair to the piece.
That's right. Every crack is an extra $50.
Mate, some of my best work, I've had people tell me, that's not even good for firewood.
Oh
You know,
yeah.
but by the time you finish with it, it's like, oh, wow, where did you get a nice piece of wood like that? Well, that was that piece of junk firewood you were going to chuck in.
Oh yeah. I've had that too. Oh, don't throw that out. And then I turn it and they're like, oh, where'd you get that? I'm like, that's the crap you were going to burn or throw out or take to the dump. Oh, I like that.
Exactly.
Now they
Exactly
want to
right.
buy it.
Sell
Take
it
it
to
off
them.
for free and sell it back on for $500. Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing I'd really like to get my hands on out of England would be the yew or the beech. But everything else over there I can find in Canada. Except for the African woods, right?
Yeah.
The desert African style woods.
All your blackwoods and zebra woods and that sort of thing.
Yeah, ebonies, blackwood, zebra woods, some rosewoods. Yeah. Fruit woods from Portugal are really cool. I had a buddy send me some from over there. They'll have orange trees, lemon trees, apple, lime.
It'd be interesting to turn a fruit tree.
Keep your eye for chainsaws, mate.
Hey?
The only thing with fruit wood, there's a ton of stress under fruit wood with the limbs twisting and growing all different directions. So if you turn it wet, it usually cracks, especially if you don't have a good consistent wall thickness.
Okay.
But depending on the wood you get, like this is, let me just bring up the other screen.
I have a piece of apple here. I actually have a huge piece of apple bowl, but show me your piece. Yeah, that's cool.
It might be too washed out from the light overhead, but that's a fresh cut of apricot. And then that's an old cut of the apricot. I don't know if the camera's washing that out or not. I'll try it on
Just
the other
hold
screen.
it up a little more and then put the end grain at the camera.
So yeah, that's an old cut.
Oh, it's a little too dark there.
Oh, okay.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Look, just point it towards your window a little bit there, Jup. Come back.
Will do. Yep, coming back. Just put the lights on too. All right.
That's good.
Okay. So that's a fairly new cut.
Yep.
I don't know. Yep.
Yeah.
And then after you've let it age for a while, the apricot, it goes like that.
A dark amber, a dark peach.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Cool.
It really colours up nicely.
That is.
I'm making a walking stick out of a long piece.
Oh,
It fits on the lathe nicely. And it's all gnarly. I'm keeping bits of bark off it and everything. It's great.
Yeah, I like doing stuff like that. I just sent you a couple of pictures, Kate, of what
Yeah.
I had on my lathe this last week.
Those are nice. Nice figure
I
in the
have no
grain.
way of getting them up online.
Do you have a PC or a phone? You can always take pictures and post them that way. I turn a lot of Apple. There's
I mean to put it up here so others can see it. Because I can't insert pictures from a tablet.
You might
I
be.
can't either go into the thing. If we sent them to Jay, we probably could.
Yeah, I can put them on the Facebook feed, but I can't put them in the YouTube.
Yeah, that's
I'll forward them off to Jay for you.
I could bring him into OBS if I needed to as well.
Oh, there you go. Could do that too and share screen. Or no, that would be Zoom.
I
There.
just insert the image as source.
Oh, shit.
You can't be serious. Get back to your seat. That's not the one. Then, the Connors are locked down on their new night. You're not easy to reach a beer spot.
Stop making the seats 6 feet apart. You can sit on the beer if you want.
And Blackish is ready for their Wednesday debut.
Did you hear that? Oh, he's not even in here. Kate just sent me a video, and that was the whatever was playing in the background when he recorded the video. What's that wood, Cade, of the video you just sent?
Back button on my.
No, you dropped out a lot there. Only got one word.
Something. I guess I hit the wrong button. But
Yeah, that video you sent me in Messenger. What wood is that?
that was from Dr. Bob.
Oh, okay.
Turning his hand on his
Okay.
lathe. I have 2 other photos, but I'll send them to you after this. Otherwise, I'll probably just keep popping in and out, hitting the wrong damn button.
Yeah, the video I shot, I didn't realize that I had my camera tied to the Bluetooth, but in my shop, so it got recorded as background.
That's all right. I'll let you off, Dr. Bob.
Yeah,
Would be
I
nice
had
if
my
you
shop
did that technical issues.
Bluetooth.
Only this time.
Yeah, just this once. Yeah, that's all right.
Oh, what time is it? Must be happy hour.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, it is. Have a drink.
I can send it to you, Jeff, but I don't think, or do I have you in Messenger?
I don't know yet. I'll have a quick look, Muddy. We just.
Yeah, I don't think I have either.
Might as well add you on Facebook or Messenger too. That'd be cool.
Messenger, because that's what I've been sending you invitations on.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay, so Dr. Bob, who do I find you as on Facebook?
Robert Elliott, F-E-L-L-I-O-T-T, and the number
Not the
2.
furniture shop.
Robert Elliott, TV by the number 2.
It doesn't show up in my name, but when they sort, I was the second Robert Elliott. So the 2 after, it's the way they add it with people that have the same names.
So I've got Allen Park, Michigan, American University, Thailand. That's you? All right.
Yep.
Friend added. And I'll just shoot you a quick message. It's easier for me to find other people than it is for them to find me because I've got no surname on the Facebook.
There we go.
There we go. So if you want me to insert a frame or something in through OBS, I can do that.
Oh, okay, cool. That's the same platform I use. It works well. OBS.
Yeah, I really like it.
Yeah. Took a little
like
bit of a
doing-
learning curve to learn it, but it works well.
Well, it can be a full production switcher. It was designed that public,
Oh, yeah.
sound, special effects and all.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I do like wood turning's partly fun for me, but I also just enjoy mucking around with computers and stuff like that. So little things like switching screens, and I just do that for fun, just because I can.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's cool seeing what you can do.
Yeah, and I think I'm of the opinion that any life experience is good experience, If you can learn a skill or figure out how to do something, it's going to come in handy at some point in your life somewhere else.
Oh, yeah. For sure. I still haven't cleaned up after my day.
There you go, Dr. Bob. Your video is now on the live AU page.
Sweet.
Did everyone hear that knocking on the window?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's my
5-minute warning, is it?
That was my wife. Yeah.
Oh, you're in trouble.
No, that's my 5-minute warning.
Oh, no worries.
I'll take this out and I'll show you this before I knock it on the head. Anyway, I've really only got to take the tenon off. Now I look at my work after looking at Cade's and I'm like, I can't even get it shiny like that. I want it shiny like that.
No worries.
I'm trying to figure out how I can download that. Can you send it to me as just a raw file instead of a video?
I like shiny. Not everybody does, but I like shiny.
Me too. I'll send all my bowls to your house, all right, Cade?
Alrighty.
Okay, I'll put you a straight picture.
Here's that huge apple bowl, if you'd like to see it. I've never seen a crab apple tree this big. It was like 24 inches diameter.
Nice.
So I got 2 of these out of it.
Wow.
It was a crotch piece, so you can really see the figure in there.
Yes.
That's
You
about...
You got a 12-inch swing on the lathe? Or did you do it
No.
outboard?
Between center, I have a 2-foot swing between centers.
And the biggest I've turned outboard is 4 foot diameter.
Wow, that's impressive.
What I got on my Powermatic.
But yeah, turned out pretty nice.
Yeah, it's very nice.
So I got 2 of them out of it. So
Yeah, that's a square
Well,
bowl
good.
I decided to have fun with, but I cheat. If you notice, I had the sander there that
oh,
makes sure
nice,
the
very
sides are
nice.
flat. Yes, I like that.
Nice finish, sanded well.
That pattern is beautiful.
Looks great. It's a nice
The,
ash you got there.
Not now.
It sounded like you said ass. Sorry.
No ash, yeah. It's a rolling joke when you turn
yeah.
ash. Cool.
Yeah.
Oops,
Developed
didn't work.
a couple of cracks last night.
That's all right. That's character. You can fill them with
Yeah,
color
that's right.
contrasting wood
Like-
or
You're going to cut the bottom off later?
20, 40, 60, 80, 100. See, every $20 for every split.
That adds character.
Yeah,
nice.
for sure.
I'm gonna take that off and leave that. Maybe, I don't know yet. I'm a bit. Doesn't really matter if I don't leave it, but yeah. Anyway, it's got a little tiny bit of red come out in it there for some reason.
Cool. Very nice.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah,
Yeah, well done.
I've got
You got
another
the
one I've got
knife edge on the 2 sides, and the cracks you can leave, or you could fill them with color contrasting wood.
Nah.
Either way,
Nah.
it adds character. But I find
Yeah.
when you start filling cracks, then it's more time and effort in the piece than you're wasting in the piece.
Yeah.
You'll still
Yes.
get the same amount for it anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I don't mind cracks and bug holes and stuff like that.
Yeah. That's very nice. What type of wood is that? Nice bark inclusions. The gray
Yes.
blue haze on the left looks cool too.
Yeah, I've tried to add a little color to it because of just playing with it. It was a piece of firewood. And I filled it with epoxy and added some of in the epoxy, I put some of the purple pigment that I've got. I thought you could play with that.
Absolutely.
But I've turned that's a present, a Christmas present. It's a big fruit bowl, and that's the outside of it. Now, if you had the video, it's that way all the way around. So
Yeah. Now they can go and view the video on my Live AU page if they would like to see it.
Yeah. Cool. That's a character in that piece of wood.
Yeah, definitely. Very nice.
yeah, and I like it. It was firewood. Nobody wanted it, so
Yeah.
I love the rays, the radiance coming away from the knot.
hmm
yes.
The crotch and it repairing itself from swaying in the wind.
Yeah.
Yep.
Really pretty. I'm glad it didn't come apart on you actually, because that's a really distinct line.
There you go. I've added the link for the actual video now, Dr. Bob.
That's just the bowl spinning to show the way it is all the way around.
Yeah. Very nice.
All right,
Very nice.
I'm going to run away now. I appreciate everyone coming in.
Yeah, it's been a good
Thank you
time.
for showing them.
Yeah, no problem. It's been
Don't
fun.
forget to hit one of the thumbs. I don't really care which one. I'll just turn the screen around if it's a thumbs down, and then it'll be the thumbs up for me. See, like that. I'm easy
See you
though.
around, buddy.
I'm easy though. Just don't tell my wife, eh?
Oh, by now I'm sure she knows.
Uh-oh.
She caught you. You didn't catch her.
Yes. All right. Oh, I'm getting cold. I'm going. Bye.
Have a good day, everybody.
All right.
See you next time.
Take care, everybody.